I was wondering if you could give some encouraging words to students who are being alienated by teachers, their communities, and their friends because of their conservative values.
It's a really important question. So students there, raise your hand if you think you've been graded differently or treated differently because of your beliefs. Yeah, basically every hand goes up. So that's right. Marco says worth it. Yeah, look, I want to say this. So there's a disagreement on the right. So here's the question. Do you lie on your term paper or how you present yourself to your professors to get a good grade? That's a question a lot of people ask, right? It's like it's easier to kind of hide and to not confront things. I do not believe getting a good grade is nearly as important as creating strong people filled with integrity, willing to fight for truth at all. And so, now why am I bringing this up? Because if you wanted to kind of, those of you that are conservative wanted to have an easier life, then just pretend to not be a conservative and just keep your head down and just pretend to be something that you're not and delete your social media. I think there's a lot more important things in life than that. So the word of encouragement is this. First, something that is true that you don't want to hear, and then something that is true that you probably will want to hear. It's never going to stop. You will be harassed, called names, victimized. You will be smeared and slandered. You will lose a lot of your friends, and you'll doubt whether it's all worth it. Sound fun, right? Well, here's the second thing, though. You will be a stronger, tougher, more resilient person, and you will have your direction, you'll have resolve, you'll have a intestinal fortitude, you'll have gusto that will run circles around an increasingly fragile society, and you will have what is so lacking in America today, grittiness and toughness. And that is something that I want to instill in every single young person. So yeah, it's going to be tough. We here at Turning Point USA are here to help you get through that, through our networking events, through our Young Women's Leadership Summit, through our chapter events, through the events like this tonight, so you know you're not alone. But we want to try to continue to rise up the citizen of young people and students to be able to take a stand. But it's going to be tough, but it's worth it.
I'm a film student here at UWM. I'm actually graduating this semester. However, I should have had some hindsight on the industry I was getting into. There's a lot that I'm actually worried about publishing or making or creating, frankly, with a lot of the topics or points that I want to talk about, because I fear the reaction or I fear the response that I would be getting. And you two have gotten some very severe responses, very negative responses from what I like to call this new internet death threat culture. My question is a two-part. How have you two personally dealt with those threats? And where do you think this sort of culture of extreme retaliation, especially via the internet, has come from?
Keyboard warriors just do not at all bother me. They're not even like, I don't even read the comments. Like, I literally do not care at all. I think it's so stupid. Like, I just picture like a little teeny weeny 12-year-old in their basement, like, I'm gonna write mean comments on Zynga. Like, I don't know. It's like, it's just, for me personally, it doesn't, I don't even bat an eyelash to mean comments on the internet. It's like everybody's a troll. Everybody's got something to say. I get it. You've all earned your blood and crip thug marks on Instagram. Got it. Cool. I find that it's tremendous cowardice. It's not real, and 0% that would ever say any of those things to my face, which is why I've never been accosted, save that one time from Antifa, because only when they're in a group do they feel that they have the courage to say something. Yeah. But individually, these people would never walk up to me and say something like that to me. I hope I don't give them the vibe that they would think that I would take that sitting down, pregnant or not, because I wouldn't, I'm just not one of those individuals. I don't play those little games, and it's like, if you have something to say and you disagree with me and you want to use a modicum of intelligence to do that, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. But internet thugging is just like, it's just lame. It's just lame.
Yeah, the internet has a perverse incentive structure, right? So introverts end up spending more time on comments, and extroverts actually live a life of meaning. And not to say there's anything wrong with introverts or extroverts, it's just true. Like, introverts are gravitating towards message boards and comments, and extroverts are kind of like repulsed by that whole idea. So it's actually interesting, the people that wouldn't be willing to say something to your face are the people that are probably actually dishing out the most amount of attacks towards you. So you got to remember that, right? Yeah. Is that it's the exact opposite of what you would think, because of anonymity and bots and trolls and all that stuff.
And
Thanks.
Repulsed is the right word. I'm always like, ew, like, what are you doing? This is like weird. Like, writing mean stuff on the
It's
internet.
antisocial behavior. It truly is. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So many around us, like people our age, they don't care about politics. They don't care about anything. It seems like a lot of people, adults included sometimes, are preoccupied with, TikTok, Netflix, what their favorite food is that they're going to make, or buy or DoorDash, whatever. How do we convince people that the liberal agenda that you've talked about, that the degradation of culture that you've talked about, how do we turn people from this idea of bread and circuses to realizing that what we are a part of is something so much greater than TikTok?
Such a great question. First of all, look around. You have people showing up to go hear someone talk about the Declaration and take questions for an hour and a half. There's a sense of urgency in this country still, and that's a good thing. The attendance tonight, the enthusiasm, the energy, the commitment, there's people that care. We need more people. And unfortunately, the greatest reason involvement's going to increase is because the left is implementing such awful ideas and immoral ideas that people are going to start to wake up. I wish that wasn't the case. I wish there did not have to be unneeded pain and suffering for people to wake up. But here's the charge. It's a perfect segue, thank you, for every person in this room. Have tonight be the beginning of your activism. Have tonight be a time when you say, you know what, I am going to do more. Go start a Turning Point USA group like our amazing activists up here. Maybe the adults in the room, you're busy, you're raising kids, then support your local Turning Point USA group. Have them over for dinner, mentor them. And then here's what we need to do more than ever. We need to be relentless and have perseverance, and then be specific of what success looks like. That's something that I think that we're missing, because people say, I don't have hope. The lack of hope, I believe, is a lack of clarity in our future destination. We need to have a sense of purpose again. And here's the good thing. I think we're finally finding it. I think the conservative movement is less about opposition and more about creation of something new and exciting. Like I mentioned, I want to have flourishing families again in this country. I want to see the population rate go up, not go down, because we are on the verge of a population collapse in this country. I want our children to be so excited about Thomas Jefferson and George Washington that their parents have to calm them down at the dinner table. I want our children to love America more than their parents love America. We are on the right side of this. And there is a relentless metaphorical bombing campaign that tries to make you care less day by day.
You said that economics was not the best thing to study in your opinion. Like
Correct.
when I put my hand up, the question I wanted to ask was like, what do you actually think the best thing to study is?
Well,
the best
I mean,
reason to come to college.
Again, if you're going to a super left-wing college and you're trying to just get the piece of paper and credential, I mean, you should go at what the college is, if it's known for, if it's best at. And so I don't know what UW is known for or what it's best at. But, I mean, computer science, right? I would imagine the Paul Allen School, is that right? Or am I correct? This is up top of my head. Is that right? Yeah. It's right here, right? Yeah, so, but yeah, those fields in particular. But sociology or the life sciences or soft social sciences typically do not have as much of an ROI on the time or the money spent.
And so
economics is in the middle ground there.
And so you said that you would defund colleges, state colleges on a national level.
Yes.
And so basically that would mean that there are no subsidies going out to students, like in-state students or anything like that.
I mean, you don't get to determine what the states do, but yes, federally, all federal grants should end completely, yes.
Okay.
Make these institutions survive on their own. If they're so wonderful and they're so great, then make it work. Make your numbers work.
And so then what is the difference between a state college and a privately owned college?
Well, so UW gets subsidized in-state tuition here, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to
that's why I'm paying only
no for
10,
sure
12,000
no
a year
for sure,
for
but
rent.
you're paying it back in taxes. Let's be clear, right? So taxes make that possible, and your parents or you paid that in for 18
That's
years,
fine, yeah.
so you get that back. But a private school, I don't know, is there University of Seattle? Is that a thing? Or
Yes.
I mean, okay, which I'm guessing is private.
Seattle U, yeah.
Okay, that they do not get money from Olympia to subsidize the tuition. So they have to stand on their own 2 feet.
Right.
So they have higher tuition.
Yeah.
And they have to justify to donors how they're doing every single year.
Yeah.
But they still might get some federal money. Does that make sense?
Yes. And you're saying this on the grounds of required like diversity credits and
No, I just
things
think,
like
I
that?
mean, look around. Has college enriched our society? The young people are the most depressed. They're the most anxious, the most alcohol addicted, drug addicted, least married, most angry generation
Is
in
that
American
all-
history.
is that all due
Hold
to
on.
college?
Where does it come from though? I mean, they're the most college educated, most credentialed generation in history. Where do these ideas come from?
I would argue that they come from the fact that there are too many people and not enough jobs, And to stand out of the crowd, to stand out of the masses, you need to get yourself some credentials.
Oh, I
so
totally
that you
agree.
can-
So you want to stand out? Don't go to college.
then you're not going to get hired.
Worked for me.
Work for you.
Start your own business. By the way, that's not true. Half of employers no longer require a college degree requirement.
Well,
Half.
okay, I'm talking about more specialized jobs.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
As far as trades go, okay, that makes sense. Things
11
where you're
million
working on
trade,
your two hand-
11 million job openings for trades.
Yeah, you're using your muscles to get your daily wage,
Well,
right?
it's not.
But-
It's not just muscles though. Like for advanced engineering is not easy. That's not just picking up lumber and putting on one side of the warehouse. That's very specific. Very, And by the way, you can learn to code in 8 weeks and earn $100,000 a year.
You can.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Maybe
you don't need to
not-
go to University of Washington.
The thing is though that you are not going to get hired over somebody that has graduated from UW
You'd be
with
surprised.
a computer science degree.
You've been sold a lie. You've been surprised. You'd be really surprised. Employers less and less likely actually want to hire kids from college because they work the least, they're the most entitled, and they're quickest to run to HR about problems and mispronouncing people. You'd be surprised. No, it's true for like the big firms like Microsoft, Amazon, Starbucks. Like they obviously want you to have a college degree.
Yeah.
But mid-major companies, mid-level companies increasingly don't care. They care about can
Okay.
you do the job? Like, do you have any sort of skill? Are you going to work really hard? Do you have good character?
That makes sense for like startups and such.
Yeah, for
yes.
sure.
However,
And here's the thing. Just sorry to interrupt, but after like 5 years, nobody cares where you went to college. Just so we're clear. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
yeah, all good. I mean,
We just have a disagreement here. My whole point is to try to push the boundaries of discussion to make you guys open your eyes and realize you guys are getting ripped off by the institution here. And that's it. So
yeah, so I do not believe that I'm getting ripped off because in my field, it is very important, especially with how oversaturated it is right now. I'm studying CS, computer science, yes.
there's tons of jobs in computer. But I mean, there might not be though. I mean,
There aren't, that's the point. And
AI
so
might take all your jobs away sometime soon. By the way.
To stand out, the whole point is that here and elsewhere around the country, we're doing a bunch of research on how computer scientists and like engineers in general are still going to be useful with the rise of AI. Elsewhere, you don't learn stuff like that. You learn the basics of programming. You've maybe heard about like the Harvard 8-week course, right? That you were probably talking about just a second ago.
One of many.
However, when you actually do take that course, you don't get a lot of the reasoning skills, a lot of the practical application skills, and a lot of the things that I'm learning every day in my classes. And so the fact that you can learn it in 8 weeks and get a job because you have the qualifications, it's true maybe, but in the market that we have right now, where the job market is super oversaturated, there are a ton of people getting computer science degrees.
Yep.
These employers, most of the like high level ones that are going to pay you a lot of money, are not looking for somebody who has the base level qualifications. They're looking for
No.
more than that. And one more thing is that to get these jobs coming straight out of college, even with a degree in computer science from UW, which UW is known for computer science, you are going to have years and years of internship and job experience in most cases. Otherwise, you're going to be doing the base of the base level.
Fair enough.
Right?
So we just have a difference of a worldview. I say, why not graduate from high school, learn to code, and go beg for an internship and bypass the college thing completely? You'd be amazed at how willing people are to help with that. Again, you guys have been largely sold a lie that you need to march through this place for 4 years and check the boxes and get the piece of paper, and it's been dangled in front of you. I'm here to tell you, and I'm only 10 years older than you, that the world doesn't really care you went to college. They care when you come out of college as your first job. Once you're in the door, it really is rather irrelevant. But we disagree.
All right. I just want to talk to you about that book. It was a good segue.
Oh, did you read it?
No.
Okay.
But I want your thoughts, like
Okay.
just face to face. Why do you think college is a scam?
Okay. So, half of this audience, if you get a job, will get a job that doesn't require a college degree. 41% of kids that enter college will not graduate. And the vast majority of kids, 60 to 70% that go to college, I believe study things that are completely worthless, meaningless, and don't enrich society at all.
But is that the fault of the student or the college? Because I looked in the stats for this. It's usually because they either don't have the finances to support themselves going to college, they have mental health problems that lead them to dropping out, or stress, or their family's not supporting them. So is that the fault of college that they pick bad degrees? Is that the fault of the college that they can't support themselves, right? It's like getting a gym membership and then saying, well, I don't want to actually go work out. It's the fault of the gym.
So, a good question. So first, the 41% of kids that drop out, the federal government will fully underwrite any four-year college through FAFSA. You know that, through a student loan. Meaning, so if anyone has financial difficulty, that's not really a thing. The federal government will fully grant you your loan to any four-year university, right? So you might not want to take on that student loan burden. You might not want to take that on, but that's number one. Number two, I can't speak to the mental health issues. I doubt that 41% of the kids that graduate in that number all have mental health issues, but maybe that's the case. I'm not sure. I don't know that number. But let's talk about the institution itself. So everyone in the audience here, how many of you have had to take classes that are a waste of time that you wish you didn't have to take, that are a waste of money, and that every single hand goes up? Look around, look around, look around, no, look around. They're scamming every kid in this audience. They are forcing them to take classes that make them poorer, that take up their time in order to get the credential. That is an institutional scam. And by the way, every other part of life is all about your own customization. Your Netflix account, how you get your burrito bowl, from how you dress, your Amazon cart is you are in charge. But you come to college and they say you must go take these 3, 4, 5 classes that are very expensive, especially for you out-of-state students, to go further into debt, study things that don't matter, to find jobs that don't exist. That sounds like a scam.
At least in my personal experience, right? Like maybe some colleges, I would say
What are you studying?
I'm studying economics.
Right, okay.
And what I would say is that I have a great levity and choices of classes I want to take. Even if like there's a bunch of general education classes, I have a great flexibility in the class I want to take. It's up to the student if they want to take meaningless classes given their credit limit.
Okay, but I mean, I would just speculate that this school still has specific criteria of classes, right? Am I correct? Yeah, you have to take a diversity class. That sounds like a scam.
Well,
They are robbing you to take a diversity class.
it's actually not what you typically think. I think
I
there's...
mean, I'm taking. Is it true? Do you guys have to take a diversity class?
No, this is true. This is true.
All right, so that's a scam. Like, let's be clear. Diversity class scam.
Can you define what a scam is?
When you are getting ripped off of with your money, your time, your resources, either beyond what is a market rate or against your will. So I'll give you an example. If you guys want to fly to New York and Spirit Airlines says we're going to charge you $2,500 for a one-way ticket, I think we'd all could agree flying Spirit Airlines for $2,500 is a scam. Like, you know it when you see it.
I mean, it depends on how you view the worth of college. Like, if you, the Federal Reserve for San Francisco gave released a newsletter discussing the actual finances behind is college actually worth it, and they found that by age 40, you recoup the average student recoups all their costs
If they graduate.
if they graduate, and even accounting for that, other economists also state.
No, so that's an important study. If you take out the top 10%, that's not the case. So
Top 10% of what?
Top 10% of graduates and income earners. So the top 10% end up flourishing with a college degree. The other 90% do not. Do you know that there are 11 million job openings in this country that pay $75,000 a year, that require 6 weeks of training, that require muscular labor or using your hands? 11 million job openings. Now, a lot of you guys are in college because you've been pushed into college saying that you must get the piece of paper, you might get the piece of paper, when there are good paying jobs, 11 million of them, but either your society, your parents, or your own choices are, no, I want to go to college, I want to go after that piece of paper. My contention is that there are way better options out there for a lot of students. Not every student, but a lot of other students.
Charlie, I think a part of your core rhetoric, there's actually some real truth there that, like, I think there's people who are getting really just pressure to go to college even if they make poor choices. I'm just saying that even while you're in college, you can make better choices to make yourself a better
totally
candidate.
agree. Do you think most people do?
I know some that are making great choices.
Okay.
I know some that are making terrible choices.
So let's think about this. Why do you think, let's just say most make terrible choices? Would you say that's the case?
I'll give you 40 to 60.
Why do you think that is? Maybe because the institution incentivizes bad choices. It's easy to coast and still graduate. It's easy just to check the boxes, right? It's not an institution designed around excellence. It's around, let's get you through the mill as quickly as possible, get the piece of paper, pay your bill. Thank you very much.
But do you think that the culture around students going to college could change instead, around their decision making?
I think we need way less kids going to college. The institution itself is so broken, let's be clear. Forced diversity classes, DEI, all that stuff, it's nonsense. If it was really, college really should be closer to what Hillsdale College is, which is about wisdom, beauty, truth, goodness, not just about job preparedness. But we've lost that completely. If it's about doctors, lawyers, engineers, and the skills, of course. But you know that. It's way beyond that. I mean, people going to, not to pick on you, but you're studying economics. That's terrific. That's a good reason to go to college. It's not the best reason, I'll be honest, but it's a good reason, right? I mean, economics is a serious discipline. It's a real science. You know, we need people really rigorously studying that. So,
Hi, Charlie. I wanted to ask you about what your thoughts on the current American work culture and how it currently overemphasizes leadership. And although leadership is important and gets us through like important crises, sometimes the average worker is just left out.
yeah, that's interesting. So, did you say American worker culture? Is that right?
Like everyone wants to be a leader, but like if everyone's leader, no one can be a leader, right? So.
That's an interesting point. I've actually thought that deeply about it. I'll disagree. I don't think everyone wants to be a leader. I think everyone wants the perks of being a leader, for sure, but they certainly don't want the responsibilities of being a leader. Being a leader is hard. You can delegate authority, you cannot delegate responsibility. And so everyone kind of wants the kind of image of being a boss on Instagram, corner office, you know, you get all the perks and all that. But do they really want to be there 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning having to go crunch a deadline when it's you on the line that have to do that? Because that's what we that own business and run business have to do. There's no days off. It's 7 days a week. It's constant pressure, borrowing money, paying bills, firing people, hiring people. So, but you're right, not everyone can be a leader. So how do you create a culture where people are okay with being led? I think you need better leaders. I hate to go back to it. I don't know if I agree with you. I don't think there's an overemphasis on leadership. I think that there's an overemphasis because there's such a lack of a crisis. There's the lack of leaders and such a crisis to actually find people. And so what is a leader? A leader is someone that says, like George S. Patton said, lead, follow, or get out of the way. But we see in America, we have a lot of people that do finger pointing and not people that are willing to cast a vision, work towards it, and meaningfully try to execute on it. The greatest leader of the 20th century is Winston Churchill, period. That's why we're Never Surrender right here. Winston Churchill cast the vision against impossible odds. He united a people against existential and material and immediate evil. He rallied people with optimism and charm and a perseverance that was relentless when he was the minority of people thought it couldn't be done, surviving the Blitz, pushing forward into Europe, and liberating them from absolute existential and just unspeakable evil. I don't know if we have that sort of a leader is very hard to find. I believe Washington, Lincoln, and Churchill are the 3 best Western leaders we have post-1776.